gonna dig this.
Hello and welcome back to Dickin' Around Outdoors. It's good to see everybody again. Thanks to all the subscribers, and thank you to the subscribers that have joined since the last episode. For anyone that likes the content and wants to see more, please hit the subscribe button below. It's always nice to have you join us. So today, I wanted to talk about camp Dutch ovens, specifically the different sizes of the Lodge ovens. For those of you who have decided to take the plunge or are considering moving into Dutch oven cooking while you're camping or even at home, I wanted to kind of help you get an idea of which oven might be the best fit for what your use is, and also explain a little bit about the ovens and what makes a camp oven versus a regular Dutch oven. So if we look at this oven, you'll see a couple unique features. Number one is the lid. And as you can see, the lid has a ridge around it. And that ridge is designed to hold coals on top of the lid while you're cooking. Interesting note, Paul Revere is credited with having come up with the ledge around the lid to hold the coals. The other unique feature of a camp oven are the legs on the bottom. And the legs are designed to hold the oven above the coals so that when you're cooking, it's not sitting directly on the fire. So that is a camp Dutch oven. And compare that with a regular Dutch oven. These are actually the same size ovens, but as you can see, a regular Lodge Dutch oven has a lid without the flange. It has drip spikes on the inside, and it has no legs. This particular oven has a bail handle for lifting and carrying it, as opposed to this handle, which is designed to actually be able to hang from a tripod. Now, can you use this camping? Of course, but you would have to have a stand of some sort, and you would generally be cooking something that needs to be cooked from the bottom, like a stew or something of that sort, not baking using heat from the top. So what size Dutch oven would be appropriate? So to start, Lodge makes 6 sizes of ovens. Starting from the smallest here, which is an 8-inch, we have 2 10-inch, 2 12-inch, and Lodge actually makes a 14-inch oven as well. However, that oven is so large, I've never thought that I would find a use for it, so I've never picked one up. Now, what's the difference? Well, it's volume. So the 8-inch oven holds 2 quarts. The 10-inch shallow oven holds 4 quarts. The 10-inch deep oven holds 5 quarts. 12-inch shallow is a 6-quart oven. 12-inch deep is an 8-quart oven. And the 14-inch is a 10-quart oven. So how do you decide what size works best? Well, there's a couple things you have to consider. First is, how many people are you cooking for? And that's really going to determine the size that you need. And number 2, what is it that you're cooking? You notice that I said there's a shallow and a deep oven. If you think about the way that a Dutch oven has to work, a camp oven, it's not like an oven that you put in a larger oven and it's radiating heat and it's got heat all around it. These ovens have heat on the bottom and on the top. And thermodynamically, heat on top wants to rise. It doesn't want to go into the oven. So the closer you can have the lid to the food that you're cooking, the more heat is able to travel and get to that food without cooling down. So the shallower ovens are generally referred to as bread ovens. And these are going to be used for baking items that don't need to rise. So we're talking about cinnamon rolls, biscuits, that type of thing. You can also use these for braising meats and vegetables where you want the lid close to the food you're cooking. The deep oven is going to be more for chowders and stews and large volumes of vegetables, big pieces of meat that you want to roast. So that's the difference. Can they interchange? Of course they can. You just have to realize that if you are baking something that rises, so also the deep oven would be useful for bread. In fact, the 5-quart oven that I showed you earlier is actually what I use to make sourdough at home. So if you've got something that's rising while it's cooking, you want that headspace in order to let it rise. So if you think about the 2-quart oven, you're really not looking at making meals for people, at least I don't. That I use, and it works perfectly for a box of Jiffy cornbread. If you want to make a few rolls, if you want to do a small amount of vegetables, for example, this is great. I'll call it the side dish oven. It works really well. The 2 10-inches are my most recent purchases, and I bought those because I found the 12s were just too big. Normally camping over the last few years has been 4 people. Now with the kids in college, it's 2 people primarily. And I find the 10 inches are very good for 2 people. Again, depending on what you want to cook will determine which oven I take if I don't take both. So the 10 inches I think are good for 2 to 4 people. Actually, Le Creuset, who's a maker of very expensive French enameled cast iron, gives the guidance that you use 1 quart per person that you're cooking for. So in that case, you're 2 people, 4 people, 5 people, 6 people, 8 people. The other thing that I wanted to show you is even though the 8-inch oven is a fantastic side dish oven and great for cornbread, like I said, these are ovens, right? And I think if you look at them as an oven, you realize that essentially by putting coals on the top and bottom, you create the oven inside. So instead of considering an 8-inch and a larger oven that you have to think you need to take both, let me show you something that would work really well in this 10-inch oven. So what I've got is I've got a trivet. And this trivet's actually made by Lodge. You wouldn't need to use the Lodge trivet, but anything that would just rise the pan off the bottom slightly. Put that in. And then I've got my 8-inch deep Banks fry bake pan. You could use any sort of baking pan you wanted. You set that inside of there, and now you basically have an 8-inch Dutch oven inside the 10-inch Dutch oven. Put the lid on and cook away. So you can actually convert this and use this for smaller items, and you don't have to carry multiple Dutch ovens. One thing that you may have noticed when looking at these is on the 8-inch, I have a set of rubber 1/2-inch chair feet protectors. And the reason I have that is when you store this in the bag to transport it, if you store it just like this, which I did when I originally got it, and put the lid on top, it actually wore holes in the bottom. So what I do now is I put the lid in, put the feet on the oven so I don't have metal against metal, and I set the oven in like that when I transport it. And that protects the bottom of the tote as well as the lid from being scratched. So one of the issues with cast iron is the weight, and that is an issue. So the smaller the oven you can carry and still get by, the better, I think. To give you an idea, the 8-inch weighs 8.19 pounds, and we go up all the way to the 12-inch, which weighs 19.3 pounds. And if you would go all the way to the 14-inch, that is 25 pounds. So we are talking about weight, but with that weight, you get thermal mass, which means that once these heat up, they stay warm and they don't take a tremendous amount of energy, and you don't get a lot of heat fluctuation. which is what makes cast iron so good for these ovens. The other thing is price. These are Lodge list prices. Starting at the 8-inch, it's $55. The 12-inch deep is $90, and the 14-inch is $110. Now, Lodge is not the only manufacturer of Dutch ovens. They are the only manufacturer in the U.S. of cast iron Dutch ovens. You can get others. Some of the other brands that I think are highly thought of are Camp Chef. And to give you an idea, their ovens are very similar in size to the Lodge. I believe they are made in China. And they're, for the price, they're 10-inch forecourt. So here is $65. The Camp Chef is $38. So it is a significant savings. You have to decide for yourself whether supporting the home team is worth the difference in price. You can also get these at Cabela's, Bass Pro. GSI makes very similar looking Dutch ovens, but they make them out of aluminum. So you get the benefit of a much lighter oven. You lose the thermal mass of the cast iron. So from the standpoint of windy days, from the standpoint of consistent radiant heat, the aluminum is not going to perform as well as the cast iron. But again, weight is a factor as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope it's helped you as you think about Dutch ovens and what you might want to buy. As always, again, it's been great spending some time with you. If you did enjoy the content, please subscribe. Please share this with your friends that you think might be interested. I will do some videos here shortly actually using these Dutch ovens, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to show you this now. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.